to make his presentation on sustainable food systems in mountain agricultural heritage systems. We have Mr. Parviz among the participants.
Hello. Yes, good afternoon. Do you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we do hear you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me to talk in this very important session. And I want to thank the organizers, particularly Professor Arjuman for giving me this opportunity. Now, I hope my presentation would fit within the time level because I have a little bit of less time than it appears. But anyway, I will do my best to do it. I want to see if you see my presentation already.
No, not yet.
Okay, Zoom should do.
You should go to the green box, share screen.
Share the screen. Just let me do it over. Share screen. I don't see that. Okay, here. Do you see it now?
Yeah, but you have to select the first slide and then enlarge it.
Is this okay?
Now it's okay. Yes,
okay.
Sir.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I have a little bit of difficulty to organize my computer. Now, I'm going to talk about sustainable food system and mountain agriculture heritage. This agriculture heritage is a concept which I conceptualized and proposed when I was in FAO in 2002. I was the director of several divisions and also task manager of Agenda 21 from 1992 to 2012. So all those years, we worked very much and very hard in bringing sustainable agriculture into the picture, and mountain, and particularly Mountain Partnership, was also one of those partnership initiatives which we established in FAO around the same time that we established agriculture heritage system. I'm working presently as the president and founder of World Agriculture Heritage Forum. This is a foundation or an NGO system established in Italy with a number of participants and particularly founder members, and we are trying to help particularly smallholders, family farmers in developing countries to maintain their family farming and agriculture heritage systems. Now, the headline of my presentation would be discussing a little bit about past, present, and future of agriculture and food systems. Then discussing a little bit current food systems and the role of family farming, which I am very much attached to it. I am a son of a farmer myself, born in Iran, and of course my father took me to the city to learn, to go to school, and then of course then I moved to France to do my PhD, and then I moved to FAO for 30 years to work in the area of agriculture. And then we will talk a little bit about post-2015 Sustainable Development Goals and food systems. You are probably all aware that there is food system summits at this moment. And we had both pre-summit in Rome, but also summit itself in New York. And I hope we reach some kind of consensus between civil society organization and governments on what is really sustainable food system. And then I go into agriculture heritage system and mountain agriculture, because I'm also from the mountain region in Iran, and I believe very much that most of the mountain agriculture are heritage systems, and we should really cherish them and develop them sustainably. And then we will discuss a little bit future of food and agriculture in the context of climate change, technologies, and innovations. Now, going to agriculture stages of revolution, essentially it's recognized that we have three major revolutions in agriculture. The first one is when people gathered together and did hunter-gathering. Most of the time, women were gathering fruit and vegetable and others, and men were hunting around the world, around their area for meat and other necessities. Then the second agricultural revolution was when the metal was discovered and managed, particularly iron and copper. And then they created tools, small tools that they could do agriculture with. And then the third agricultural revolution, which was just after World War II or during the World War II, which call it Green Revolution. Of course, it has been continuing. And these are the three stages of revolution, which is recognized. And of course, the most important one, most impacting both environment and people's life is of course, Green Revolution with technology and heavy machinery, but also it brought also the biotechnology, diet change, environmental change, etc. Now, early site of agricultural civilization are essentially in Asia, particularly around Yellow River, but also in fertile crescents in Zagros mountain areas near my country, and then also in Latin America. These are some of the main agricultural civilizations around the world. And of course, they are recognized particularly for the plants which were domesticated, animals which were domesticated. Now, particularly centers of land domestication, there appear to be several major centers of origin of our domesticated crops, the majority in Old World, fewer are in the New World. Old World, I mean Asia and Africa and others, and New World, I mean America. And these are the greatest diversity of crops coming from. From these areas, most of the major crops have a spread around the world. This is a map which I borrowed from internet. There is most of the plants around has been located like bubble of centers of domestication and plant particularly plants. And of course, I am not going to get into details, and you have my PowerPoint, or you can ask me to send more detail about that. But this is a very, very important map which shows which plants are coming from there, where. And of course, there are a lot of issues related who domesticated the plants, who have registered farmers' right on plant genetic resources, etc., which I'm also somehow involved in and member of a committee that works under International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources. It's so important to recognize these plants, because nowadays you can find everything and everywhere. But we need to recognize where they are coming and who are the originator of these domestications. Now, Since the Green Revolutions in 1970s, the spread of millions of farmers around the world. In 1990s, according to FAO, 40% of all farmers in developing countries actually were practicing Green Revolution. 75% of rice in Asia, 80% of wheat in developing countries, and 70% of corn worldwide. Of course, this improved standards of living for millions of people worldwide, but also it has its negative impact on agriculture, particularly health. Now, current food system, unfortunately, we have over 7 billion people, more than half of them are in the cities. Nearly 1 billion have too little to eat. 1.6 billion, according to WHO, World Health Organization, eat too much. And according to FAO, we are wasting 30% of our food. And of course, dealing with the population increase, particularly in least developed countries, like in Africa and part of Asia, Latin America. And of course, you see more people are less developed, more population there is, and more there are problems of food security, which FAO has followed, and particularly it was also mentioned during the World Food Summit. The other problem is the feeding mega cities around the world. Mega cities are the cities, more than 8 million people. Many of them are in Asia and Middle East, but also in Latin America, North America, Europe. And unfortunately, these cities need food, and it's not always easy to have a sustainable system to give them food. The other problem associated with Green Revolution and development of agriculture is loss of genetic resources, and knowledge, and culture, but particularly genetic resources of, for example, vegetables. This is a graphic which shows, for example, we had in the earliest of the century, we had 544 cabbage, for example. I just take an example, and we have only 36 of them nowadays. We had 408 number of peas, and now we have only 25 of them. So genetic resources and biodiversity loss is a very, very big problem sort of facing our future of agriculture. Particularly, we are losing functional biodiversity, like bees and insects, which actually fertilize, and particularly the trees, which needs to be these insects are reproducing, sending all the necessary reproductibility of the plants. Now, this climate change is another very, very big and important problems that we are facing in these decades, and particularly many of developing and particularly poorest countries are affected most. In Africa, for example, those with least resources have least capacity to adapt and are most vulnerable. Now, another problem regarding food insecurity, changing diet and nutrition and health is the hidden hunger. It's missing micronutrients in more than 2 billion people worldwide, mostly women and children. More than 1.6 billion are eating too much, as I mentioned before, and there are type 2 diabetes, obesity, heart diseases, cancer. All these are sort of outcome of modern food system that we need to correct. Challenge is that there are less and less number of grains which are in our diet. For example, rice, wheat, and maize form 90%, 90.1% of our food diet. Of course, it impacts the biodiversity and this on health and nutrition. And I mentioned the hidden hunger that it touches more than 2 billion people, and double burden of disease of affluence, they call it, type 2 diabetes, obesity, heart diseases, etc. This is a schematic sort of picture of some of the world countries, how their diet are affecting their shape. There are countries which are relatively in good shape, but there are countries who are eating too much and having problem, like Malaysia, like US, like UK, and some other European countries. And unfortunately, this is increasing all over the world. It's not only sort of developed countries, but also developing countries are facing this very big problem. So the challenges ahead require a paradigm shift in agriculture, food system, and food system development to address not only poverty, food insecurity, health and nutrition, but also sustaining our natural resources base and facing climate change. In 2015, after all the Rio processes, which started in 1992 up until 2012, then we had the Sustainable Development Model. Of course, mostly is the same ideas of 3 pillars of sustainable development: social pillar, environmental pillar, economic pillar, which brings sustainability. We need to integrate all these pillars together, but also cultural dimension, values, traditions, behavior, relationships. These also became part of the post-2015 Sustainable Development Goal, which I was very, very happy, and I worked and fought for it, actually, because for me, the cultural values are very, very important, particularly food culture and other cultural aspects that I would talk about when I talk about globally important agriculture heritage system. Now, bringing culture in agriculture is one of the very, very important part of life, because it brings also the food culture, because each people, each group in the places that they have gotten used to interacting with their environment, and most of the food are sort of important for them, what they eat, the origin of this food. Now, with the international sort of exchanges and foods going from Asia to Europe, from Europe to Latin America, etc., there are changes in diet, which I have mentioned, but we need really look into also the food culture and the cultural sort of aspects of the food system. To my opinion, sustainable food system is bringing together ecosystem diversity, socioeconomic diversity, cultural diversity, culinary diversity, and curative diversities. These diversities are principles, to my opinion, again, of sustainable development. We can't really continue to talk about sustainable development without talking or maintaining our diversities. These diversities are important, and we need to cherish them. We, of course, need to integrate biodiversity with human health, but also environmental health. We need to bring food security, but also employment generation. These are some of the aspects of sustainable food system, which we need to really bring together. And if we don't do that, obviously, we are always having problem. We can talk a lot about sustainability, but we would not achieve the sustainability. Empowering women with their knowledge and empowering them, particularly in their communities. This is a picture from Peru, which I took. Many Peruvian women are actually the custodians of seeds and fruits and other elements of our food. So we need to really empower them and bring them into the picture in agriculture, which actually in modern agriculture, they are disappearing. Another very important subject area which I have worked during my time in FAO is a major opportunity to bring family farming back to the picture. And that is why after a meeting on in Maastricht on they called it at the time we had a conference where we wanted to have multifunctional agriculture. It was a very important concept, but we had a lot of political problems with some developed countries. And so we didn't succeed in bringing multifunctionality into the agriculture concept in agricultural policies, etc. So at that time, after that conference, which I organized, one of the main organizers, I decided to work on to follow a little bit what UNESCO have done with the culture, with the cultural diversity or areas of cultural aspects like for World Heritage Convention. So I created this dynamic conservation of globally important agriculture heritage system, which we call it GIAS or GAIAS. And this program I established in FAO and registered in World Summit on Sustainable Development in South Africa. And since then, it is a global partnership and a very important program of FAO. Now, what was the definition is remarkable land use systems and landscapes which are rich in biological diversity, evolving from the co-adaptation of a community and their needs and aspiration for sustainable development with its environment. So this is an FAO definition which we registered, and from there we started to really work on these globally important agricultural heritage systems, which is have 5 criteria: the food and livelihood security, biodiversity and genetic resources, indigenous and local knowledge of individuals and communities, cultural diversity of agriculture, including products and service diversity, and then last but not least, landscape diversity and aesthetic values. These were the criteria which we developed for agricultural heritage systems, globally important agricultural heritage system. And then, of course, because mountains are very, very important agricultural heritage, like this one, as you see in the picture in Ifugao rice terraces. I believe that one of the very, very strong sort of messages and a strong way of conserving our mountain agriculture or mountain areas is really trying to recognize them as agricultural heritage of the mankind. And this system often, as we heard it during this session, these systems are threatened by many, many threats coming from not only climate change, but also urbanization, but also migration, et cetera, et cetera. So we need to really work hard to somehow bring their values into the global community and to the knowledge of particularly young generation. They are unique, these agricultural heritage systems, like this one in China, because for thousands of years, farmers with very little tools, very little forces have worked terraces, irrigation systems, selection of seeds and planting and cherishing everything and creating such a wonderful systems, which unfortunately often abandoned because the young generation is not interested in agriculture, and particularly because there is not enough infrastructure, enough attention to the mountains and to the agriculture in mountain. This is another one, honey rice terraces in China. This is a wonderful place. Of course, now with the tourist development, it is being also destroyed. That's another very big problem that we should really deal with, because mountain systems often are tourist attractions, and often they are not really prepared to receive a lot of tourists, and particularly most of the tourist development is coming from urban areas, and most of the income created by tourism goes back to the cities and to the companies. This is Ifugao rice terraces with local communities, which are really very, very much attached to their territories and to their varieties and rice varieties and many, many other agriculture products. Andean agriculture system in Peru, another wonderful example, like Waru Waru system, which is a very, very creative or different other animal systems in Andes. These are systems which are really very important as agricultural heritage. Another example is saffron system in Iran and Kashmir, India, which should be registered as globally important agricultural heritage systems. And we have also many in Africa, particularly Maasai system in Kenya and Tanzania, and then rice fish system in China, Satoyama in Japan, but many of these systems are unfortunately under threat, and we need to really do something about them. Many of these mountain agriculture systems, with all the sophistication and all the work which has been going to create them, are in danger. Now, how? The GS program in FAO, we define that at global level by identification, selection, and recognition of GS and their communities, we could essentially give them recognition and recognition by not only a global community, but by also national community, and hopefully government put more emphasis and more resources to maintain them, to sustainably develop them. At national level, by capacity building in policies, regulatory and incentive mechanism to safeguard these outstanding systems and use them as sustainability benchmark. This is very, very important, because these systems have been sustainable over generations, thousands of years. And it could remain sustainable. We only need to pay attention to them and bring the main pillars of sustainability into the picture. And by empowerment of local communities and technical assistance, promoting traditional knowledge and enhancing viability of these systems through economic incentives, not only labeling agrotourism or others, but also with payment for environmental services. So GS recognition, of course, in FAO, the rules are there. These are the rules we created, and submission of an application, then review and confirmation by scientific advisory group, and designation the listing, and then implementation of action plan. Because each globally important agricultural heritage system should have a dynamic conservation action plan. And these are the most important part of the GS implementation. There are at this moment 62 sites recognized by FAO in 22 countries, but there are many, many to come, because I believe I already published a book on agricultural heritage system, and many of the examples which are not yet recognized are written there. Many of these places are wonderful mountain ecosystems which need to be really cherished and maintained sustainably. Recognition of farmers for their important contribution of conserving these systems. This is a meeting we organized in Chile, and these are some of the farmers' representatives with the certification that they got. And it's a wonderful work that they have been doing and they continue to do. And this network is a very, very important network to maintain. We have done, of course, labeling, globally important agricultural heritage sort of product labeling, particularly in China. We continue to do that. There is more upcoming meetings and work that we are doing by labeling in these food and services products of agricultural heritage system. In Japan, the same. There are branding of selected items like tea, like other products in Japan. I don't want to get into the details. Scientifically speaking, also, we have done a lot of progress. A lot of young generation students have been working on agricultural heritage systems. And my book with Miguel Altieri, who is a very, very close collaborator, has been for the last 30 years, who is one of the founder of agroecology. We have been working very well together. And it's very important to connect agroecology and regenerative agriculture with agricultural heritage, because this is a continuation of the same principles of sustainability. There are a lot of benefits in recognition of globally and nationally important agricultural heritage system, not only local benefits like food security, income generation, soil quality, etc., but also global benefit, which are very important. I'm not going to get into details. Now, I want to say a few words about World Agricultural Heritage Foundation, which is an international NGO. We try to help farmers, communities, and countries who are interested in cherishing and maintaining and dynamically conserve their nationally and globally important agricultural heritage system through technical assistance, fundraising, education and training, policy and advocacy. And I invite anybody who is interested to collaborate with us. We are based in Rome, and we are a number of people. We have courses, agroecological courses and other courses that we could help them to not only present their agricultural heritage, but also to do new studies and bringing about these wonderful systems, which are really future of humanity depends on. Now, we have recently done a work with Biodiversity International and IFAD. I can't focus, which we are trying to building resiliency and comparing resiliency of nationally and globally important agricultural heritage with conventional farming system, the modern agricultural system. And of course, resiliency is very important for the future of agriculture, particularly because of climate change. In this work, we have also created an application which farmers can register not only their land, but also their food system, their knowledge, their species of their plants, animals, whatever they think it is their heritage. And this also bring more visibility, but also it could also help the farmers to communicate with each other and communicate with scientific community when they have problems with pests and diseases, when they have extra food to sell, when they want to really exchange their ideas and their proposals with decision makers. So this is what they call it, crowdsourcing application, which is available on our website. And I invite you to really follow. And if farmers community to be interested, we tested it both in the Philippines and in Tunisia, and gave fantastic results for them. Not only they get interested in modern sort of tools, how to use for their benefit, but also it brings more information about local to global and global to local. So I believe globally important agricultural heritage is not about the past, but about future. For example, here, this is an example in California that they are reconstructing, of course, with a little bit of modernity, reconstructing the traditional agroecological systems by bringing diversity in the landscape and trying to maintain the ecosystem services and ecosystem stability. So this is the final picture of my presentation. This is a very beautiful valley in Italy, which is family agriculture, and people are living in their agriculture. They are very happy and they have very good food, and they cherish their agricultural heritage system. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor. Parviz,
Yes.
please, now we have un momento, delegates presentation. Please can speak Mr. Vinakuda Rai from India. Is Mr. Rai here? Please, is Mr. Rai here? Or from India also Mr. Milliam Gump, Mrs. Vishfuli Millia Gump,